Okay, we should be recording now. Okay. Someone just asked about GroupMe. I don't know what that is, but I think is it like the WhatsApp maybe? We can look it up for like the best app and stuff too. Um, so first of all, I know like it's kind of like half and half, but I'm Megan Geese for those of you guys who don't know me. I actually met Jen like 2.5 years ago, and she had no idea who I was. She was standing on stage at one of Melanie's get-togethers at Summit, and she was like part of the wall, you know, because like once you're 3-star, like Mel used to have that wall, and I just remember I was like, oh my gosh, she's a teacher. Like, I just want to be just like her. And it literally, I was going to go up to you and talk to you so many times. And I just never did. And then, like, this year, one of my coaches was like, oh my God, that's Jen. I'm like, let's just go talk to her. Because I'm like, I talk to her all day, every day. And she just has no idea who I am. But, no, I've been coaching for, it'll be like 4 years in September. So, this is like my first official August without teaching. So, I'm like, Jen, we need to do something with our coaches and like help them. So I have something like to like focus on because I'm going crazy. But I don't know. When I first started, I didn't ever really think I was going to do this full time. I was kind of just laughing at my coach. She's like, well, don't you ever want to be home with your kids someday? I'm like, girl, I just have dogs. Like, they're okay. But then like income started happening. Our team literally just exploded last year, and it's just continued to do that. And so the consistency and stuff has helped a whole lot. And then obviously having leaders, you know, wanting it as badly as you do. So I am officially a full-time health and fitness coach. My husband is a business teacher, and he's a football coach. So it's just me and the dogs until about like November, December. But that's pretty much, I don't know, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Yeah, I don't really know anything else. I'm not really that exciting.
Oh my gosh, I'm cracking up right now. If you guys only knew what like a chaos show my life is all day, every day. I was telling her about it this morning. So a little bit about me for those of you who don't know. I have been a coach for 4.5 years as full-time teacher, same boat, like no intention on like quitting my job. I actually love my boss. I had a great boss that I worked for. And I went and just finished my master's degree in educational administration last year. When I signed up to go to grad school, I had full intention of going on to be an assistant principal, and I was still going to keep this. Like, and the crazy part is, like, I had built this to 6 figures, and I was still going to do that because, like, I just enjoy doing both. So I'm living proof that when you work really hard, like, you can do it. Things can explode if you hustle. And by hustle, I mean, like, I really worked for like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, like the whole first like 2 years. And to this day, I usually, like, a long day for me would be 4 hours, like a really long day, because here's what you may not know. I am momming it to an 8.5-month-old, and my husband went back to school, and I don't have like anybody come watch him. Sometimes he goes to my mom's every now and then. So like, it is a nap time, full out hustle over here. So like an hour and a half here, an hour there, and like sometimes at night. So like, I am the epitome of busy, but I do not let busy become my identity, and it doesn't like define my life. So, you know, just, I had this vision though, and I can tell you guys, I was like a second year teacher, and I was in the teacher's lounge, and all the teachers were like, oh, I wish I was at home. I wish I was at home. I wish I was home with my kid. And I went home and told my husband, I said, I don't know what I'm going to want to do. Like, no shade to stay at home moms, no shade to working moms. Like, I don't care either way. I said, I just don't know what I'm going to want to do, and I want to be the one that gets to make that decision. Like, I don't want someone else dictating that for me. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go all in and like create that freedom. So when the time comes, I'll know what to do. And then actually it was probably this exact time right before the school year started. In August last year, I got the call to go be an assistant principal at a school. And like, at one point in time, like, that was my dream job. And I called, and I knew in my gut I wasn't going to take it. I went, and I loved the principal, had a great interview. And then I went home and cried. And I said, I think I'm supposed to be a stay-at-home, like a work-at-home mom. And so I had to call her. And before I even said anything, she was like, you want to know what it's like to stay at home with your baby, don't you? She's like, cause your business. Like, she already like took the words out of my mouth. So super grateful that that was the vision I started with. And that's kind of like the point I want to get into really quick, because Megan and I are going to share our top 10 income producing activities for you guys here in a second that are not really on, like, it's not really tracker based, just stuff that you can do every day to grow. But I got to tell you, to start, you got to have that vision. What are you here for? And where do you see yourself? Not in like 30 days from now, but where do you see yourself 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now? I need you to have that vision, and I need you to have it long term. So Megan, do you want to share yours first, or do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, I can real quick. Off of what she said, I always hate running. And I was telling her this when we set this up, is like, I don't want it to be a push to diamond group, because that's not what this is about. It's not about getting to diamond and then like stopping your business, because those of you who are on this call who are diamonds and are pushing for star diamond, like, you understand that like it's amazing to get to diamond, but it's also just a decision to make it there. It's not something that's like should be drawn out process. Like, it's not something that's totally impossible. Once you hit diamond, you like look at yourself, you're like, girl, why did I not do that before? Like, why was I so much in my head? And so when I was talking to her, I was like, I know that like push to diamond groups, you know, the idea, the urgency, the focus, that's what we want out of this. And we want like that action base, and we want our coaches to like step up to the plate. Because I feel like Jen and I both were like, well, we want this to work for us. We want to make our own decisions with our future. And so we just went and did, you know, like we didn't have people necessarily sitting there holding our hands, but like we also dipped into groups like this. So you know, we love like that energy, the focus, like that kind of thing. And so that's what we really want this group to be. We don't want it to be like a push to diamond and then everyone drops in October. We want it to be like a, you know, like setting up that urgency and focus, but also giving you guys like tips and tools and tricks to like kind of help you keep going from where you're at right now. And so we were just talking back and forth, like, what did we do to get to where we are? Like, what are the things that we did consistently? And yes, you guys have the business activity tracker. I think it's phenomenal. Like, one of my coaches literally prints them out, puts them in a binder, and like checks them off. She knows who she is. Like, she literally does that. And then, you know, we used to screenshot it and share it and stuff. And her business is blowing up because of the consistency over time. And I just feel like sometimes, like when I first got started, like the first year and a half of my business, I didn't really know what to do. Like when I sat down at my computer, I was like so proud of myself. I'm like, oh, I'm working my business. And then an hour and a half later, like my husband was like, are you going to come eat supper? I'm like, I haven't even done anything yet. Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I don't know. I felt so awesome that I was like sitting in my office, like working my business, and then nothing was happening. And then of course, like when he doesn't see results, when he doesn't see, you know, numbers and things like that, he's like, well, what are you actually doing? And then I was like, hey, I want to be a full-time, you know, coach. And he just like starts laughing like, oh, okay, whatever. So I actually, with my upline at the time, like I actually sat down and just like kind of talked about, you know, like what are some things that you need to do every single day to like move your business forward? Forget the tracker for like a hot minute. Like, what do you need to do to move your business forward? What do you feel like is super important for you? Because sometimes like I post one time a day, but guess what? I'm still hitting Success Club. I'm still doing these things. Sometimes I post 2 or 3 times a day. Like, it's just, there's certain things that I do no matter what every single day that I know are going to move me and my business and my team forward. So mine are probably a little bit more like personalized, just because the vitals, you guys, like those are done. You guys do those no matter what. Really, no question. You know, I'm not going to sit here and, you know, tell you to go invite and tell you to go do these things, because you do those. But the things that I wrote down for my like top 10 things that were super important for me, posting. Like, I always tell my coaches, I'm like, girl, if you do anything today, go get up a post that has something to do with your like fitness or coaching or something. And I'm like, if you don't post today, you just shot yourself in the foot. And I was trying to explain it to him as, you know, like, let's say tomorrow I decide to do Pampered Chef and like sell spatulas and all this stuff that I have no idea what I'm even talking about, because I don't even ever go into the kitchen. But like, if I just started sharing that tomorrow and I wanted people to buy from me, they would have no idea, like, what is going on? Why is she doing this? She doesn't even cook. I don't have that trust built with them. And so if I would continue like to start posting every day, showing them how I'm like stepping out of my comfort zone, I'm actually turning the oven on, like I know where the timer is, you know, just sharing those things over and over with them consistently, I'm going to start to build that trust. But then if I would stop posting for a day, 2 days, and then come back like a couple days later, the trust is broken. And so I tell my coaches, like, if you do anything today, if you like don't even like, let's say you forget to invite anybody, if there's anything you do, get that post up on social media. Don't just slap something up there. Obviously, like, you guys are leaders, I shouldn't have to say that part, but you know, getting up some sort of quality post to continue that trust with your people. So that was my number one thing, was posting on social media. whether, that's on wherever you're at. So always make sure that you're there on social media. So posting. Another thing for me was what I do is I sit down on my computer, and instead of like clapping for myself because I open my computer, I go to my Facebook and I go to my posts from like the day before, and I actually go through my messages, my likes and my comments, and I message those people. And that, if I don't post, I just shot myself in the foot. I have nobody to talk to, no invites, nothing coming from Facebook. So all of mine kind of build on top of each other. I'm a math teacher, so you'll figure that out. So posting, and then I always go to my Facebook. I open up my post from like the day before. I go through any likes and comments, any new people, those kinds of things. Maybe engage with a couple of people who liked it, or go to their page and like add some friends from there. So I kind of interact with my posts on Facebook. Then what I do, and this is the third thing, is I go to my Instagram. And I make sure that I have posts going up on my Instagram. So I'm making sure that I have maybe more like angles and things like that, like where they're placed at on Instagram, but I make sure I'm posting over there, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Instagram and I'm going to go to yesterday's post, and I'm going to go through all of my likes, all of my comments, all of that stuff, and message those people. So if I don't post on social media, I can't do half of my things that I thought were like super important to move my business forward. So basically I post, I go to Facebook, likes and comments, message them, invite them. I go to Instagram, go to my posts, likes and comments, message them. And then normally by then I have like maybe 5 invites that are newer people, because a lot of them are just like my mom and my sister and all of her best friends. But I try to find, at least a couple new people a day. Like if I find one, I'm always like, yeah, like that's so awesome. So like any more than that is amazing. The next thing that I do is I make sure that I am personalizing my Instagram stories. So before I used to use Snapchat, now I just use obviously like my Instagram stories, but I try to make sure that throughout my day, I have some sort of fitness part of my life, and I have some sort of coaching part that I showed to people. And so normally for me, that looks like waking up, working out, talking about my tribe, maybe sharing results, talking about my boot camp, something like that. And then towards the end of the night, it's like, hey, I have a team call, or hey, I'm sitting working my business. This is what it looks like, because I'm going to go back through my stories and I'm going to invite 5 to 10 people from my fitness, 5 to 10 people from my coaching. And that's where I get my invites from. And it's fresh, it's new. I can personalize them. Hey girls, saw you checking out my meal plan of my sweet potatoes. Have you ever tried them before? Talking to them, or maybe even like turning it into an invite. Creeping their page a little bit, adding some personalization to it. So Instagram stories, I do try to touch on fitness and my coaching, and then I invite from there. So like, not to be super weird, but if you're like going to take a bath or going to the bathroom, some of you guys are moms, and I know that's literally like your only time by yourself if you get that. Because my dog is literally like, Mom, where are you going? Like, sitting in the back, you can quickly invite, from fitness if you talked about it on your stories or your boot camp or something like that. And the same for coaching too. So I actually was kind of creeping on, I've never done this before, which is super weird because I totally like fangirl over you, Jen, but I looked at her stories today and I was like, girl, she just talked about coaching. Like, she has all these people she can invite for coaching. And I turned around and told my coaches, I'm like, you guys think you have like nobody talk about coaching? She just like talked about it, and how many different slides she can go through there and hopefully find, 5, 10, 20 really good coaching invites to message people. And so for me, I'm very visual. So if I don't post and I don't, use my stories, I kind of feel like my business is like blah. And then what else? Let's see. Oh, the other things that I have are more so like kind of me and my business, I guess, but like challenge groups to me are key. Like that's where a lot of my, probably like 99.9% of my really like amazing coaches, they've came from my challenge groups. I have coaches who have came in without doing a challenge group and have been super successful. However, a lot of them, even if they came from like a mountain in Colorado, like they still got into my challenge group and they still got results and they still kind of like went through that wheel, if that makes sense. So I try to pour into my challenge groups. I have like a morning check-in and I have a nightly check-in. I tag my people on the nightly check-in. I'm like, girl, where are you? Like, I want to know how your day went. I try to email them weekly. So obviously that's not something I'm going to do daily, but I do tag them daily. And then I check in them on weekly and they say, thanks so much for like holding me accountable. You know, like that's your job as a coach. And then they see that coaching has held me accountable and it's held them accountable. And then that's where I get invites from coaching too. So challenge groups are really important to me. Obviously, like I have my assistant setting them up, but then I do like that whole tagging and like messaging thing just because I don't know. I want them to know that it's me, I guess. I don't know. And then I do like I have like my weekly focus. I always share it with my team, you know, like, hey, this is like our focus for the week, whether it's coaching or boot camps, and just make sure my posts and make sure everything for the week is geared towards that theme. So if we're trying to fill a boot camp this week until next week, Wednesday, my girls are all focused on fitness, and then we're going to mindset shift into coaching and then mindset. And so we go back and forth with that weekly focus. But I always tell my husband, like, this is something that I do to like give back to myself, is like go creep people and go find my people. It sounds so weird, but like I literally live like to go and like have my time and to give back to myself for actually working my business this time is like looking for people who I am like looking at weird hashtags or, you know, all of those teachers who like wear all these fashion like outfits and stuff and like just creeping on them. So that's kind of my, like the last thing that I do. And that's something that I do as like a bonus for myself. Like, hey, congrats, you actually worked your business. Now you get to go creep on people. So that's pretty much like my top 10 things is post on Facebook, go to those posts and like and comment, message those people. Go to my Instagram, go to like likes and comments, message those people. Make sure I'm hitting fitness in my story. Make sure I'm hitting coaches in my story. Make sure I'm checking into my challenge groups. Make sure I'm, you know, doing like my fun creep thing where I like scroll through, you know, like you guys have all been added obviously to like different groups, like Zaya or however you say it is like super huge in Iowa with like clothing and fitness and stuff. And so like, that's huge. There's so many people in there who want workout clothes. I bet like 90% of them are doing Beachbody. Like, you know, like just different things like that. That's just a great place to go through. So like my creeping is kind of like Facebook groups, but then also just trying to find my other, I don't know, dog mom teachers, newly married people, and then like having that weekly focus. So that's my kind of like 10 things, not really in a nutshell because I talk too much, but.
Oh my God. Well, I'm laughing because like success leaves clues, because my 10 things are not that much different. Like everything that Megan just said about like, you have to post. Like if you don't post, like since day one, like I was never someone who just messaged people from day one. Like I just wasn't. And so I always use my post to message people. So like if someone liked my post, I felt like then I had permission to reach out. And that's still how I run my business to this day. Like I don't message people unless they're liking my posts, watching my stories, or they're following me. Those are my rules. Like I don't send messages outside of that, just because I get messages outside of that and I'm like, really, girl, you gonna try to sell me something like that? I don't even know who you are. So I don't do that to people. So I do the same thing that Megan does. I post every single day, sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times, sometimes once. But like, I also hit my goals. Like if I was sitting at 0 right now, I would not be posting once a week. Like that would not be happening. Okay, hold on. I got to read what Megan said here. She said she didn't message her followers. Yeah, I don't message them a lot, to be honest. Like the majority, 99.9% come from my posts and my stories. Every now and then I just kind of experiment with followers, but I don't ever say like, hey, thanks for following me. I'm Jen. Like I'm a health and fitness coach. Who are you? Like that would make me feel weird. You got to do you, like when it comes to this. But what I will say is I'm like, hey, I saw you were following me. I don't know if you've seen my stories, but I'm gearing up for my August boot camp. Did you want some info? And I just like, my whole point of that is gearing them to my story. So then they can watch it and then I can reach out. So I do that sometimes, but I invite, hold on, I want to go in order here. So posting to your pages and your stories is so important, and it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And I do the same thing as Megan. I do my fitness pieces and I do coaching pieces every single day. So I want to share with you my number 2 thing on my list is write out your entire story. So if you're like, I don't know what to talk about with coaching, or you know, it's easy to go on and share your workout and talk about how easy your fitness routine is because you're doing it. So I think a lot of people focus on fitness and not on coaching. So one thing you can do with that is write out your whole entire story. And I actually want to give you this call to action today. By the end of this week, get a notebook, paper, and write out the whole thing. Like from the point where your coach first invited you, what thoughts were going through your head, what you were feeling when you clicked submit, why you clicked submit, maybe any doubts and objections you had, fears you had, all the way up until now, and every change and every little thing that's happened to you in between. Like, that's your story. And the more familiar you are with that, the easier it is to talk about. And it just starts becoming like second nature. But practice makes perfect, and you have to talk about it to get better at it. So write out your story. Number 3. This is one thing, I'm sure Megan does this, but it's one thing on my list that wasn't on her. So I was like, I got one new thing to add. Check your online office. You have to be checking your online office for a couple of things, especially when you're building your team. What I recommend is, first of all, coach breaking news. Like, people will always say to me, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. Well, it was right there in coach breaking news today. So if you go in your online office, there's a coach breaking news tab. Like, they just announced how you can earn September promos by using your August promos. Like, they announce things like that, or they'll announce when something's $20 off, or they'll announce if there's a discount on shipping for something. Like, they announce those things there. So you need to check that every single day. The other thing to check is, I check, if you go monitor my business, go to your sponsorship drill down. So that if you're building, like if you're an Emerald coach and you see Susie on your right leg is red and active and she might delay her Shakeology, okay, I need to sign someone else on my right leg in Susie's place in case if she cancels, like, then I don't drop my rank type thing. So check your online office every single day. And then also you should be checking it anyways, because you are hopefully adding your challengers to your challenge group. So your success level points updates, you can see who's ordered what, and you can make sure that everyone's taken care of. So personally, I check mine every single day. It's actually what I do before I make my game plan for the day. So if you're not in the habit of checking it a couple times a week, make sure you check it. Don't check it on Thursday and be bummed out about something because you didn't check it sooner. Your leaders, time to treat the business like a business. All right. I put check into challenge groups, same as Megan. Like, your challenge groups, like, those are your people. Like, they trusted you, they paid money, you made a commission from them, you owe it to those people to show up. So darn it, you better be showing your butt up in those challenge groups and encouraging those people, and showing up the way you would want your coach. I talk to people all the time, guys, that are like, oh, Jen, can I please switch to you? My coach doesn't even talk to me, or my coach hasn't run a group in like 2 years. My coach never reaches out to me. Can I please switch to you? And it makes me so sad because I'm like, wow, that really sucks. This person got left out high and dry after paying somebody else or something. Don't do that to people. Okay, number 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on number 5. Inviting. Oh, you guys, you have to invite. You have to invite every single day. And I'm not a coach that's going to say, and my team knows this about me, I am not a coach that's on this trend of let's send 100 invites every single day. I've never done that. If you want to, more power to you. I say find a sweet spot, find a good number. I do think you need to at least be sending 5 a day. But here's a message that I sent my whole entire first year as a coach when anybody would like my post. So funny. And that's pretty much what I still send to this very day. It just said, hey, thanks for loving my post. I appreciate the support. Were you just showing some love, or did you want some info on what I do? That's literally what I sent for like the first 2 years. And now it's a little more abstract because I've developed it over time, and I'll share invites as we go in our group. But you got to invite every single day. And like, if you read that message, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just not a big deal. So get out of your head. You got to send some messages to people, because an invite to me is not to close a sale right that second. It's to plant a seed with someone that you see potential in. So I'm going to use my coach Celeste up there. Use her as examples all the time because it's the best example I've got right now. I messaged her about coaching probably over a year ago because I really just I just saw something in her and I was like, she would be so great if she ever decided to do this. She just now became a challenger like maybe a month and a half ago, and then she became a coach, and like there was no pressure. I wasn't like putting all this pressure on her. She just it kind of just happened organically. But if I would have never planted that seed or gotten over myself and reached out in the first place, it may have never happened. So like an invite isn't to just make sales. An invite is to build connections and really find your people. How many of you were invited to the business? Raise your hand. Like in some way, shape, or form, somebody invited you. Yeah, okay. See, what if none of us invited? You all be sitting somewhere else right now, not on this call. So you got to remember that. All right. Adding people to your network. Friend requesting, and this is kind of what I do, it's like what Megan said, it's like my little, after I do all my really important work, that's when I add to my network, and I might scroll some hashtags or look through some followers of followers and friend requests and whatever, and see if I can find some of my people. I use the tracker for this. I do set my timer for 20 minutes because I feel like if that's on the tracker created by top coaches, that's a sufficient amount of time to do it. And that's something that I can do. That's something you can literally do on a potty break. Let's be real. That's something you can do on a lunch break. That's so easy. Personally, for me, I usually sit and do it at night when I'm sitting on the couch and my hubs is in the shower or something like that. So just mindless. That's just a mindless activity that you can do really quick. Business personal development. And what I mean by that is, and actually Molly Asplin said the same thing on a call the other day, and she was so right. Like Rachel Hollis is great, but you need some Grant Cardone in your life. Like get some business personal development. Be Obsessed or Be Averaged is a great one. The Compound Effect, The Slight Edge, like pick something like that. Because we can read feel good stuff all day long, but you need some business personal. Eat That Frog is another good one. I'm trying to think of the ones that pop in my head. Build to Last. Dare to Lead. Those are good ones. Megan's typing some too. Because like the frou-frou stuff, like, yeah, it makes you feel good and all that, but like you need something to implement into your business. So get yourself some business personal development on top of it. Every day I do at least one very intentional post. And then I think recognition is a big piece. Your tribe that's showing up and doing something, make sure they know that you care about them. I don't want anyone on my team to ever feel like I don't care about them. And I have a bigger team, so sometimes I'm like, and it's funny because actually we're kind of a smaller team really, but I want everyone to feel like they're somebody and that they matter and that they're important because they are to me. So sometimes I think it's important to just take some time aside and think about your team and reach out and tell them how important they are to you and whatever you're feeling. Then the last thing I want to say is you got to set a goal for every single day, and you need to set an overall goal for the week. So I have my planner right here, and my goal for this entire week. So I started this week. This is I'll tell you guys, it's a lower month for me. But I set my goal for the end of this week. I wanted to be at Success Club 40, and I started the week at Success Club 20, and now I'm at 30. So like, because I have that goal in my head, I know what I'm working towards every single day. Like I have it, and I know where I want to be, and I know what I can do. So when you have that mental goal, it's easy. So therefore, I can break down daily goals to say, okay, I want to send 2 to 3 share carts today. And if I can send 2 to 3 share carts every single day, I can hit that goal. So just knowing that and like having that, and guys, I've been doing this for 4.5 years. Don't hear that number and freak out. Like you can hit Success Club 6. You can hit Success Club 10. Don't sit here and be like, oh my gosh, I suddenly have to hit Success Club 30 to be successful. No, I've been doing this for 4.5 years, but I am telling you that you can do it, and it's all up here if you want to set that as your goal. So hold on. What just happened? Okay. So yeah, so you got to have a goal for every single day. You got to have a goal for the overall week. That's something that really helps me personally because my life is chaos right now. So when I know what I need to do, so like my goal today was to complete my business building activities that I just shared with you. I was like, okay, if I can just get through my business building activities, it takes me about an hour and a half, like I'll be good. I'm set up for success. I don't spend much time on like fluff. I try to just get in and get done. And she was saying someone prints out their tracker. I do print out my tracker every single day and use it. But I will tell you that I focus most on section 2, which is basically we talked about connecting and adding followers, posting on social media, doing your stories, responding to likes, comments, and views, inviting people to challenge group, and following up. I mean, that's basically the gist of what we both just said. So I focus hardcore on section 2. Like I don't need a tracker to tell me to do my workout. I don't need a tracker to tell me to check into my challenge group. But if you do, it's on there. But I like this section 2. And if you can honestly get up and do those little things, the post, the inviting, every single day, posting and inviting, like that's it. Don't overcomplicate this business. Like it's so easy. And so my call to action for you is write out that coaching story and start getting comfortable sharing about it on your stories in some way, shape, or form. So that's my 10. And I think that's pretty much all we had to share with you guys. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. Hey, I was going to say from listening to you, like at the beginning when you were like, I have my stuff muted for the day and we'll get back to you and message your coaches at like certain hours of the day. That was something I feel like as a newer coach, I struggled with so much. I was always on my phone and I wasn't doing anything. Like I wasn't getting anything from being on my phone all of the time. And so one thing that I took, like not answering your messages like on the fly, actually sitting down, opening up your computer and working as hard as you can and then putting it away and being present in your life. Because I was talking to her today and she was like, I only have like an hour or 2 a day to work my business. And I was like, at first I was like, yeah, right, you're at home all day by yourself, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, I'm present in my son's life, And so I was thinking about that with newer coaches. I think if someone's interested, we have to like be there in 2 seconds. You don't, like set those hours, be intentional with that part of it. Share it with your team, obviously, or whoever, but like, also it helps with your spouse too, to say like, I'm going to go work, for this hour or whatever, and then put it away and be present.
like in your actual life and stuff. And I feel like that helps too with like the stress and all of that stuff. So if you're working from a list, so you sit down, you open your computer, like congrats, now get to work, and then close it and then go and do like your life. And then the other thing that I had was that you said, you know, like set a timer when you're working. So like I always like that rabbit hole, like once you start getting the hashtags and all that stuff, it's literally like a rabbit hole. And so like setting timers when you're working definitely helps a lot. You know, and also kind of like what you said, like the daily goals. I loved that. And I was thinking like my math brain and stuff, and I do this with Karina a lot, is we always look at our drill down, like our sponsorship drill down, and then we kind of make daily goals from that. You know, like this is what I want to achieve today. This, you know, and like, so just using your back office to help you with those daily goals too. So that's just what I took from what you were.
Well, and it is, I'm glad that you kind of pointed that out. You know, make a schedule. If you feel like you're struggling and you're always on your phone, like I'm here to tell you, like there's no reason for that. Like don't be that person, especially if you feel like you're always on your phone and you're not hitting your goals. Like that doesn't even add up. I had someone tell me the other day that she's spending 8 to 10 hours, but she's at Success Club Zero. I'm like, then you're not doing business building activities. Like that's just point blank. Like, I don't know a nicer way to say it. You're not doing business building activities. Like, so I do not. So the whole reason I did this was to be at home with my kids. So like, I don't really work when he's up. Like if he's like playing and like sometimes he's doing something and like wants nothing to do with me, and I'm like, cool, I guess I'll answer some messages since you don't care about me right now. But when he wants my attention, I give it. Like you got to keep the main thing. Like, who are you doing this for? And like, you got to remember that. But so I have like, and I told him from day one, my husband knew, hey, from this time to this time, I'm going to be doing this because I'm working like for our future. And he's like, cool. So we have those conversations and I set that schedule. And guys, I don't work outside of my schedule. Like my team probably knows, like when I'm in the team page blowing it up, you can tell I'm working right then. But I'm not on my phone all day, and I never have been. I have never, in the whole first 3 years, I never worked more than 2 hours a day. And that might've been an hour in the morning and an hour at night. It might've been 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. To this day, I do not work more than 4 hours a day. And that's a long day. Like typically, if I'm being really honest, it's probably 2.5 to 3. And it's very focused, and that's just the difference. It's intentional. When I sit down, I know what I have to take care of. Like I already have Wednesday's to-do list written out in my planner. So as soon as his little head hits the pillow around 9:30 tomorrow, my butt's going to be at this computer cranking off that to-do list until he's ready to get up an hour and a half later, and then we're going to play, and then he's going to go down for nap too, and I'm going to crank out the rest of it. And if I have anything left, my husband knows when he gets home from his work that I'm probably going to, and it's great because then they can go play together and like have their time together, and I come in here and I crank out the last 30-45 minutes. So if you are feeling like you are always on your phone, you are doing yourself and your family a disservice, and I'm calling you out. You need to set a schedule for yourself. A schedule for yourself. There is no reason anyone here should be working more than 2.5 to 3 hours a day, tops. There's really probably not much of a reason for most of you to be working more than an hour and a half a day at this point in your business. And obviously, if you can work it out, like the more you put in, the more you get out, obviously. So I'm not trying to deter you. Work a 3 and a 4 hour day if you have it in your schedule and with your family, but make sure that's communicated, and don't just be glued to your phone. No, nothing about your business is so important that you have to stare at your phone the entire day. I promise. I see so many coaches fall victim to that. Even stories. I have like set times, like, okay, I'm going to do my stories here, here, and here. Don't be glued to your phone. That's going to burn you out so fast. And it's just not, like, you don't have to, it's not necessary. So if you're thinking that's how it has to be, it's not. Like Megan and I both built 6-figure businesses not doing that. So don't do that to yourself. Just had to drive that home, especially if you're doing this for your family. Like don't sacrifice your family to do something for your family. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no. And I was thinking too, like when you were saying that, like with your teaching and stuff, you know, how you were like, well, I want to be able to decide that future part. And me, I was like, I'll never be doing, you know, health and fitness full time. But like my business blew up because I was just doing the little things every single day consistently. And like you know, when I hear coaches that are like, oh, I worked 8 to 10 hours, I'm like, I have no idea what I would do for 8 to 10 hours. Like I would just like, I don't even know, like go crazy or whatever. So I literally, even now, you know, I have the day, I still take breaks and I still like chop it up because I can't sit here and like work for long periods of time. Otherwise I literally just am staring at the screen and I didn't do anything. So don't feel like you have to like work from 1 to 4 every day or something like that. Because before I literally would work my business, you know, on the way to school, on the way home from school with, you know, the husband driving, and then I would literally work a little bit at night. But then another thing she said was that, just making sure that you're being intentional with like your time. If you're working, work. If you're not working, like, spending that time with your family and communicating that when you're working or whatever it is, so always saying like, hey honey, like I always have a call at 8:30 on Sunday nights. Like, that, just talking with them and letting them know that too. Cause that kind of helps with that piece. But
yeah. And if you're, and I'm going to tell you guys, like, I don't scroll social media. I don't get on social media, like just to hang out and look at stuff and creep on other people. Like, unless I'm doing my initiating connections, like I do my list. This tracker was designed for part-time hours. So that's what I do. So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, last thing. I told Megan I was going to say this. Our expectation for all of you on this group, this is not a push. We're not putting any pressure on you. We're not doing like this hardcore push and all that stuff. But we do expect you to move forward and build your business. So therefore, we're giving a lot of our time to this. And I'm trying to think of like the nicest way to say it. You have to meet us halfway and be showing up and hitting some goals. Like you cannot like just like sit there and do nothing and have nothing to show and expect us to like be giving all of this mentorship, because that's just not fair. And hopefully you see that and everyone here would understand like there's got to be some give and take, because we're taking time away from our families and things that from our own businesses, from things we need to do because we want to see you succeed. So just keep that in mind, that you have to be like doing something, like have something to show for it. So another thing, banned words, overwhelmed, struggle, discouraged, defeated, all of that. I don't want to ever see a post in that time to create group ever using one of those words. Like, I'm not kidding. I don't want to see it, because all it does is bring every single other person down. All it takes is one person to go there, I'm so defeated, discouraged, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you got 30 other comments talking about how defeated and discouraged everybody is. No, we don't have time for that. We don't have a place for that. This is a group to learn, grow. So the golden rule that we teach in kindergarten, if it doesn't help, then you don't need to say it. And obviously I'm halfway joking, but you guys have seen posts like that, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm just telling you, like, this is not the place. And if you need to talk privately, you can message one of us privately, but this is not let me bring down the whole morale of the group because I'm having a slow month type of thing. So don't bring other people down with you, please. And that's all I have. And I actually have to run because I think somebody's hungry. Not supposed to be, but I think that's what's going on in there. I see the look of desperation. So I have to hop off, but guys, thank you for having me tonight. I'm gonna let Megan close you guys out and we will get started in the group with some accountability.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, hon. So we were just talking about like to give you kind of like an action from this call, because I feel like you heard from her, you heard from me, how we made it work through the cracks of our day. We wanted to give you like the tips, the tricks that we feel like we have gotten to where we are today. So what we want you guys to do is to take some time. Obviously hers was writing your story. And mine is to write your top 10 things that you feel like you need to do every day to move your business forward. And so they might be different just depending on your goals that you have, depending on like where you're at in the business. So one of them is writing your story from Jen. And then mine is like writing out those 10 things that you feel like when you check off all 10 of those things before you go to bed, you're like, I did my job today as a coach. And then we're going to put them in the group just so people can see like the 10 things. Cause even listening to Jen and vice versa, we got some things from each other that was like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I need to add that to my list kind of thing. So, we're going to have you guys like write your story out, like actually write it out. And I'm going to rewrite mine too, just because I've been coaching for a lot longer than the first time I wrote it. But she had mentioned kind of like where you're at before you started this, where you're at with it, and kind of like where you're at now. And then for mine, it's just doing those 10 things. And then we're going to be doing these calls every Tuesday at 8:30. I will record them, but we would love, love, love for you guys to be on them if you can. We're going to start doing some like actual masterminding with you guys. So like letting you hop on, letting you ask questions, letting you pick brains, like that kind of thing. And so just be aware of that. And then in that time to create group, her and I are going to be pouring in to you guys with like urgency and focus, but also with like tactful tips and stuff, because we hate running groups and like pushing people. So it's not really the whole point of it. We want you guys to have like the tools and then run on your own and be successful, if that makes sense. So 2 kind of assignments, because we're both teachers. So sorry for that. But writing your story and then writing a list of like the 10 things that you feel like you really need to do every day to move your business forward. So